I don't make these videos every week, although they seem to be very popular. The What's Going On videos I consider, hit my computer there, in a timely fashion such that there has to be a significant bit of new information to make them. In that case, I mean timely. I think timely was the wrong word. Relevant should have been the more accurate one. Just as a side note, this is kind of funny, but it's really rather kind of awful. My buddy that lives just east of here in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, he told me this past in Owensville, Kentucky, specifically Bath County. Yeah, I've seen them on the news. They're called like furries. People like to dress up in like furry outfits like wolves and bears and foxes and all sorts of stuff. Whatever does it for you. I couldn't care less. But they petitioned. I'm not going to take a position on this one way or another. I easily could. To put litter boxes in the bathrooms. Tell me what you think about that. Literally. Now, this is happening in Owensville, Kentucky. This is not Los Angeles or New York or New Jersey or Chicago. They passed it. You think that would actually violate HIPAA? Some sort of health thing, but I don't know the gray areas on that. But anyway, it passed. So they're going to put in human-sized litter boxes in the bathrooms in Owensville, Kentucky. Apparently, this is happening in several places. I'm not gonna take a position on that. I'm just gonna put that out there for you. That was a side note before actually starting the main video. And this main video on what's going on, there are actually a lot of incredibly important points. I've said this a few times before, and I truly mean this. Remember, everybody's heard the old motto created by the Hydra. I shall call them Hydra. That you'll own nothing and be happy. Well, that is absolutely, positively, 100% literally what is going on. And it is nothing other than a modern-day version of the old coal miners who they rented these shacks from the coal company, but they were paid in a specific currency that was completely useless outside of the coal mine. So they bought their food there, there was a little grocery store, and they paid for their rent there, and entertainment was there. There was actually a bar in most instances. That's where you literally work yourself to death. You never own anything. You're paid, but you're paid in basically monopoly money, but it doesn't get you anywhere. It pays the food and the rent, but it doesn't give you anything, and it doesn't elevate your life whatsoever. So everything runs in circles, so that's exactly what's going on right now. They're implementing it really hard. This is just happening in one country too. So, this country is a little messed up temporarily, kind of like the United States is extraordinarily a little bit messed up, yeah? We could all acknowledge that no matter how patriotic or unpatriotic you are towards the United States. By the way, did you know that they're actually putting features into vehicles where you have to keep paying for them? It's like a monthly software has started going that way, like Adobe, which I find absolutely satanic, where you have to pay every month. You never own the software. Well, the car folks thought that was a great idea, and they're already starting to implement it. You can turn your car off at any point in time. I could almost see it if you were leasing it. It's like, yeah, you're not paying anymore. You have a lease on the car. We're going to disable the ignition. I could almost see that. That's quite heinous, but I could see it there. But if you actually own the car, you never truly own all its capabilities. I didn't know if you knew that. That's not like hearsay. That's actually being implemented. A bunch of Germans have been telling me, and this is happening in America. This is not just happening in one country, but countless countries, where the idea of home ownership is a far distant fantasy. It used to be the American dream. Apparently it was also too the German dream and countless other dreams in many relatively free parts of the world, and that is vanishing. A German friend has accurately said that there is a war going on single-family homes in Deutschland, and this is incredibly true. I'm getting to the main points here that are actually quite serious on this video. I don't know if you know this or not, but the war with Japan, i.e. the start of America entering World War II, did not kickstart with Pearl Harbor. It actually started with, in other words, the impetus, or that which lit the fuse, was the United States cutting off oil to Japan. The United States is doing the same thing to Russia that we did to Japan. You could say NATO too if you like, but I'm saying United States. We could additionally say NATO, of course, I know this. The MIC, i.e. the military-industrial complex, and national debt of the U.S. government, along with what's going on with BRICS. You know, they're actually trying to get away from the dollar, and I understand why. I do, actually. The only way to reset this from the premise of the evil cabal in the United States is war. What level of war that takes, I will not speculate on. Here's an important fact. 1,210 banks and credit unions, i.e. 12.8% in the United States, have got a red warning, meaning risk of imminent failure. That's 12.8%. 45% of banks and credit unions are deemed, quote, highly vulnerable. You can look this up. It's called Weiss Ratings. They do a 142-point checklist of banks and credit unions. I think one of the serious guys there, his name is Dallas Brown at Weiss Ratings. You can actually look up your bank for free there. No, I get nothing from this recommending the site. I was looking at my bank, which had a B+ rating. Not that I have any money in it. His words, not mine. A lot of these banks are teetering on the edge. They're getting loans from other banks and selling assets. Here's something incredibly important. You know, I try not to pay attention to commercials. They'll have something playing in the background, usually classical music. I met this guy once, Tom Selleck, you know, the famous actor. I'm no fan of any actor. He always seemed a little bit different than most actors, but he's been doing these commercials for years now, and I'm not picking on him. They probably paid him very, very handsomely for these commercials. They're called AAG. It's a reverse mortgage commercial. I've known this in the back of my head every time I heard it playing in the background. Yeah. This is what I said to myself. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Somehow, AAG is owned by, I'm going to refer to it once again, not by its name, but you know what I'm talking about, Darkstone. Somehow, this entity, since they're gobbling up, we're going to loan you money on your mortgage. And people say, oh, you want to pay off your high interest? This is how the commercial goes. Many other commercials like, you want to pay off your high interest credit card debts? Get a home loan from AAG. And a commercial that they don't play anymore from the same company says these exact words. It's not a way to steal your home. That's exactly a way to steal your home. It is 100% exactly. They're not loaning you money out of the kindness of their heart. It's all about interest, of course, but they hope you will default. I want to point something out incredibly important to people or young people or anybody. You cannot live inside your credit card. You can't do it. Nobody can. I don't know if you know this or not. Go look up what it is. Credit cards are unsecured debt. All these people are stressing out. Like, oh no, I lost my job. Things are getting bad. I need to take out a home loan to pay off my credit cards, and that'll fix things. That is the worst of worst ideas. I don't tell anybody what to do with their money one way or another, but it is horrible. You cannot live inside that thin little piece of plastic at your credit card. And it is unsecured debt, which basically means they can't take your house. You can't. Credit card debt is unsecured debt, okay? It is. So I thought to myself, somehow AAG is owned by this super tight, the world's largest company, and easily the most evil. Darkstone, I'm going to call it. Take a guess at what Darkstone is a reference to. Yep. Well, they're not, but here's what it is, okay? Here's what. Finance of America, FOA, bought AAG, so they own AAG. But guess who owns, surprise? I'm going to do Gomer Pyle now. Surprise, surprise, surprise! I don't know if you know. You're probably too young to know who Gomer Pyle was, yeah. Guess who owns FOA? Why, it is none other than the largest company in the world and the most evil one, Darkstone. So Darkstone owns Finance of America, FOA, and FOA owns AAG. So I was right the whole time. I knew I was. If there's some way to get your house stolen from you and turn it into like a permanent rental property, so this super mega titanic company which has more money than God can make another pile exactly like it more money than God. They're going to do it, and they are exactly doing that right now. Unfreaking believable. So remember, 12.8% of banks have a red warning, the risk of imminent failure. Right now, everything is a house of cards. It's being propped up. We're not in a recession. We are entering into a depression. And that's not only the United States, but also too Western countries, many of them, which I mentioned last time. Here's something else that's happening. There's a lot of things happening. I'm trying to pick and choose here, not to bore you to death. Transformers, I don't know if you know what a transformer is. You know, those trash can looking things that hang on the outside of your power lines are getting impossible to get. Type in transformers getting impossible to get. So they want to stop growth. There's this ESG agenda, equity, blah, 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 blah. ESG, go look up what ESG is. It's a Hydra, Cabal, UNWEF form of radical insanity. But they're shutting down housing developments because you can't complete a housing development. It's due to the green agenda, but it is all due to Hydra, as I'm going to call them, the New World Order Satanry that's going on. Housing communities can't move forward because they're years out on getting transformers, which are necessary for power distribution. And interesting. You know, you want to halt housing production. How do we do it? Well, we can't. They own the land. They have the right to build on it. I know. We will stop power. We'll stop power from going to the houses. That's the same thing as stopping houses. You own the land. You can't stop people from owning land. Well, you can, but that would require conflict. It would require flying lead levels of conflict. Outside of flying lead levels of conflict, how can we stop them from building houses on their own land? I know, we'll stop them from having power distribution to it. Go look that up. Transformers, serious shortage years out. Ireland is considering seriously wiping out 10% of their cattle. This is, of course, Green Agenda, Cow Fart, WEF, Hydra, Insanity. Talking about killing off initially 65,000 moo cows. Moo. One expert's been doing this for decades, pointed out, of all these things that have been growing over the past decades, the average Irish cow farmer, you know, he raises his cows, he sells X number of off to be butchered for meat and whatnot every year. They have stayed the same now for the past 25 to 30 years plus. There has not been like, ooh, there's this huge increase in the number of cattle and cow farms in Ireland. It has stayed the exact same, if not less, than it was 30 years ago. So they're worried this has nothing to do with flatulence and CO2 and green agenda insanity. It has to do with global shutdown. That's going on. Type in Ireland wiping out 10% of cattle. I call what's going on, too, lie harder. By the way, if the Daily Mail tells you it's true, then you know the inverse is true. If they tell you it's false, then you know it is true. Here's what happened 48 hours ago, roughly. This is Nova Karkova Dam in Kherson. Yes, if you look, there's an old phrase, who does it benefit? And everybody's blaming, well, most everybody, and especially the media and whatnot, are blaming Russia, for what the dam being burst. This is, many have accurately said, this is a nightmare scenario for hundreds of thousands of residents downstream. The dam, 30 meters tall and 3.2 kilometers, 2 miles long, which holds water equivalent to the Great Salt Lake in the United States, built in 1956 on the Dnieper River, is part of the Kolkova hydroelectric power plant. It doesn't matter who blasted it. It's the sparks that are going to flame a conflict. We could say, well, there's already a conflict going on in the region. I'm talking about drawing in basically every major power in the United States to this. When things are, people are suffering enormous amounts of Ukraine fatigue. You could see that everywhere. If you got 2 brain cells, you could see it. That's when major events happen. This reminds me when everybody got bored with Apollo 12, and 11 was, okay, that's exciting. Apollo 12, I've already seen it, who cares? Then you introduce major drama. Was Apollo 13 contrived? Was it? You know, I'm not going to actually take a position on that. But this benefits Ukraine. Actually, empirical objective examination down the list. This very, very, very greatly benefits Ukraine and the West. I would dare say the same people that took out the underwater pipeline to Germany, the Nord Stream 2, are the same entities that took this out. That is pure speculation on my part, but this would actually damage the Russian port, damage just upstream from this, the nuclear plant. This does all sorts of unsavory things to Russia. The idea that Russia is the one that took it out is extremely suspect. It does not appear to be Russia. That is pure speculation on my part. You can make your own conclusions on that. But everybody's pointing the finger at Russia. I am no Russian apologist. If you think I am, you are delusional. I've lived there for years, both the Soviet era, Soviet era and post-Soviet era. I know exactly who Putin is. I have no love whatsoever for the man. It is 1,000% undeniable that Russians that were holding up, just like little signs protesting the conflict in Ukraine, whatever side you're on, I don't give a damn. People are just pull out the sign. The police are ready to throw them in jail for 10 years. I mean, there's countless videos from every source known to man. There's no freedoms there like you and I consider it. I get along great with the Russian people. I have no love for that government at all. But what I'm saying here is nothing in support of Russia. I'm simply saying there's no benefit at all and every harm upon Russia for the Novokharkova Dam to have been blown as it was 48 hours ago. It's a major, major, major event. It's very few people in the West are talking about this, but this gives escalation, for the war hounds, the saber rattlers, to call for more, heavy weaponry to be dropped over to Ukraine. But yeah, but Ukrainian fatigue in the West, and especially in the United States, is absolutely off the hook. Ukraine is benefiting most from this, obviously. Oh, by the way, this is on record. A Ukrainian official said years ago about the Novokharkova Dam, he said, we need to test destroying this dam. That's not speculation or rumor, that's established fact. United States and Ukraine, and you could say the UN, take your pick in the West, are doing nearly everything possible to kickstart World War III, whether it be low scale or large scale, small scale or large scale, with Russia. Remember when Biden said that F-16s will start World War III, we can't ship F-16s over there? But now we're providing F-16s. Lindsey Graham, who, I don't know if you know who he is. These are his words when he was visiting Zelensky. And his words in short were, his exact words said, Russians, lots of Russians are dying. And then Lindsey Graham said, this is the best money, smiling with a big grin. He said, this is the best money we've ever spent. Let me repeat that. Lindsey Graham is across the table from Zelensky. There's tons of video of this. You go look it up. He said, yeah, Russians are dying. He said, this is, meaning taxpayer money. Actually, it's technically not taxpayer money. Of all the Americans that are complaining about taxpayer money going to Ukraine, is actually spontaneously printed by the Fed and filtered over there. So it was not taxpayer money actually goes to pay off the interest on the national debt. Most all of it goes just towards that. Doesn't go towards all the things that people think it goes towards. That's where the Fed spontaneously prints the money and it gets sent somewhere to achieve goals that we desire. Everybody keeps forgetting this is not conspiratorial whatsoever. There's the regular government that everybody sees on C-SPAN, and then there's the what's this, the secondary realm of government, and below that, of course, is a shadow government. So you have regular government, the deep state, secondary. These are the people that make deals with the MIC, the military-industrial complex, and foreign entities to achieve goals. And we actually have a third level of government called the shadow government. If you think the United States doesn't have a shadow government, you are really, really, really extremely deluded. This is not conspiracy talk whatsoever. It's hardcore established fact. Countless entities actually feed that. The secondary level and the third feed the MIC, and they all work towards one goal. What those goals are partially known, can easily be deduced through induction, deduction, and retroduction. But there are, of course, nefarious plans. And I'm not interested in, putting on one of those masks, what are the Guy Fawkes masks, and talking about craziness. I actually watched a few of those videos on YouTube that's dedicated to that channel. And you think it would be about unveiling the truth. I mean, there's some really highly radical stuff that is just completely off the wall, completely implausible, extremely irrational. I didn't think it would be that case, but yeah, the Novokrakova Dam, it does the opposite of benefiting Russia, yet all the news media and like Daily Mail and all the rest of them are blaming Russia for it. I have no love for the Russian government. Absolutely zero. I love the Russian people. Настоящие крепкие народы, русские народы, Ты меня слышишь? Ясно как смертный грех. Ты слышишь? Ты понял? Excuse me, a little bit of Russian there. Get along great with the Russian people. No, I have no love for their government. So if you think I'm being a Russian puppet or stooge by saying Russia almost 100% undeniably did not blow the Novokrakova Dam, you are extremely in the incorrect. Yeah, but I knew AAG, the commercials that keep getting pushed by Tom. I said somehow it has to be owned by Darkstone. And it is. It is owned by Darkstone. They really, really do want everybody to be, this is just an old concept modernized. Yeah? Now we got radios on our phones. We can listen to any song, and on our watches or Apple Watches. By the way, the new Apple virtual reality headset is a really, 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 really bad idea. I hope Apple financially loses its fanny on it. This is their first major release since the Apple Watch, which means many, 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 many years. I hope it works out exactly like Facebook's Meta Reality VR headset. It's going to be infinitely better than that. I think that the release next year of it is somewhere like $3,500 or $3,200. I hope it flops hardcore. I mean, I really, 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 really hope it does. I hope they get stung by that. Americans are fat, looking at one, right? Fat, sit in their chairs too much. Now we need a device where everybody's just sitting there like a couch potato, literally like a zombie, scrolling their eyes. And also, too, the visual radiation that close to your eyes is just and it has to be LED powered. I know it has to be LED powered. It has to be really, really bad for your eyes. Bad. I mean, it'd be like somebody, even way worse, someone with their eyeballs up against their iPad like this, just an inch and a half, 2 inches away. I hope they lose their fanny on that. Yes, I know fanny means a different word in European and British English than American, but fanny over here means something different. It means your bottom or gluteus maximus. So the green agenda, New World Order insanity is real. They can't get transformers for new housing. It's kind of brilliant. How do we stop people from building houses on their own land? We can't stop them from doing that, but we'll stop them from getting power to them. How brilliant is that? Isn't that neat how that works? Oh, we're going to kill off a bunch of the cows in Ireland? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. 12.8% of banks, risk of imminent failure. It only takes push of one domino, like, and the whole set of dominoes starts collapsing. People, well, it's only 12%. What about the remaining, 82 plus percent? What about that? 88%. 88 plus 1. There's one huge domino that will set the rest falling, have bank runs. The guy that rates these banks on 142-point basis, Dallas Brown at Weiss Ratings, said a lot of these banks are teetering. They're getting loans from other banks, they're selling assets, they're not very liquid, they have tons of bonds out. If there's a tiny run, the whole deck of cards is going to shoof, And then the whole world, especially clueless people, will realize in short order how little it takes to break through the crust that sits over top of the world's largest volcano. I hope you like these videos. You're going to contact me. Check out the description below. Any donations are always warmly welcome. Let me know what you think. I read every comment, and I love reading them, actually, even if it takes a long time. Lux Evertas.